Imagine being an aspiring model who has just moved to New York City. A new life, new friends, and more. But you get help from the wrong people and get kidnapped for. Hey guys, this is Afraid, and you are watching I Spit on Your Grave too. Let's get into it. Katie Carter, an aspiring model from Missouri, moves to New York in hopes of having more opportunities to realize her dream. But the only job she can find is that of a waitress in a bar. She then decides, on the advice of a friend, to renew her photographic book. Before entering the apartment, Katie meets her neighbor Jason and helps him catch a mouse. She is definitely a very bright girl. In order to limit her expenses, she answers an ad that offers free photo books. During the call, the photographer told her to send him a photo for his portfolio. Being a beautiful girl, the photographer without hesitation called her for a photo session the next day. Katie met the photographer Ivan and his brother Nikolaj and Georgie. Ivan immediately offers her to take pictures in a dress, and Katie accepts. Afterward, Ivan wanted to see more, and the two started to argue. After an argument between the photographer and the aspiring model, the latter decides to go home and never return to the studio. After a few hours, Georgie shows up at the door. He had brought her the photos he had taken. Georgie is very insistent, but Katie manages to push him away anyway. In the evening, Georgie, despite being lied that he deleted Katie's photos, was looking at them all the time. In the meantime, Katie went out to take out the trash, but left the door open. Big mistake. As soon as she entered the house, she closed the door, turned off the lights, and after brushing her teeth, went to sleep. But during the night, Georgie had entered her apartment. Katie noticed this and started to run away after having shot him with the taser. Nevertheless, Georgie manages to reach her and brings her back into the house. After that, he started to hit her head on the floor over and over again. In the meantime, the neighbor Jason heard the noise and woke up. Georgie tied her up and grabbed a knife after hearing Jason knock on the door. Jason entered the house, but after a moment, Georgie began hitting him several times in the stomach. After that, the psychopathic Georgie began to rape poor Katie, while Jason watched them in shock. After finishing, the rapist realizes he screwed up, and after a moment of despair, he calls the brothers to help him fix the mess he made. Once they arrive, Ivan and Nikolaj are not surprised by what happened, and Ivan forces Katie to drug her with a dose of ketamine that makes her lose consciousness. On the way, Katie managed to wake up for a few moments. She was inside a car and was being taken to a hidden place. Katie wakes up completely naked in a basement, where Nikolaj is raping her. She was completely naked, in the cold, and tied up. She desperately asked for a drink, but Nikolaj began to urinate on her. Soon they will regret being born on this earth. Just stay with me. After a while, the three brothers go down to the basement to wash Katie. They drugged her again to make her stay still and left her with Georgie. Georgie returned with some clothes and a pair of heeled sandals. After untying her injured and red wrist, he began to dress her. Katie sees a chance for salvation in Georgie's naivete, and indeed, she manages to escape, but discovers that she is no longer in New York, but in Bulgaria. On the street, no one offers to help her because they thought she was just a prostitute. Only a detective, Kirill, manages to lend her help knowing English. In the meantime, Nikolaj finds Georgie on the ground in the cellar and immediately notices that Katie has run away. While Kirill interrogates Katie, a lady named Anna enters Kirill's office. Katie asks to be taken to the American embassy. Meanwhile, Anna identifies herself as the director of a center for battered women. Anna convinces Katie to trust her, taking the responsibility of leading her to the embassy, but makes a detour, convincing Katie to stop at her house, which she says is a short distance from the embassy. Once arrived at Anna's house, Katie realizes that she has been deceived by having returned to the place where she was previously imprisoned, and thus discovers that Anna is the mother of Ivan, Nikolaj, and Georgie. The girl is again brutally abused and raped, this time by Valko, Anna's husband. After being brutally beaten by Ivan, he, Nikolaj, and Georgie place her in a box and bury her. Katie weeps and prays for help, which arrives unexpectedly when the basement collapses. The box in which she is locked falls into one of the underground tunnels. The girl finds herself free from the box, but completely traumatized by the rape and the beating. Covering herself with an old blanket, she manages to drag herself to an old bed where she faints. In the following days, she manages to regain her strength by drinking from the pools of rainwater collected in the tunnels and catching small animals for food. The sound of canticles draw her to a church connected by a secondary entrance to the basement. Katie breaks into the sacristy and steals some food from Father Demov's kitchen. She returns in the following days to steal more food, but is surprised by Father Demov, who decides to help her understanding that the girl has endured terrible suffering. Dimov gives her some clothes, food, and a Bible. Katie is refreshed and regains her strength further. She explores the tunnels and manages to find an exit and finally reach the embassy, but does not pass through its gates. As if struck by electrocution, she retraces her steps and goes to church. She picks up a passage from the Bible and goes back to the priest to give him back the Bible. The priest told her that she must face the situation and not run away, to which the girl states that she is not running away at all. Doubtful. Later, Father Dimov discovers the verse that gave the girl the shock. "Vengeance is mine, says the Lord." And Katie does indeed give an act of vengeance towards her tormentors. She begins to follow them to understand their habits. The first is Georgie, the one who started it all. Stay with me all the way. One morning, Katie brought coffee to Georgie, the latter thinking she was the maid. After the first sip, he found Katie's cross in the coffee and began to fidget. After that, he noticed Katie and began to follow her. He is lured into the dungeon by her and captured with the equivalent of a mousetrap, a noose mounted on a stick, and strangled until he passes out. Father Dimov meets with Kirill, to whom he confides that there is an American girl who needs help. Kirill immediately realizes that she may be the same girl he tried to help earlier. In the meantime, Georgie wakes up, tied up against a wall. Katie teases and tortures him, quoting his own phrases. She wounds him over and over with the same switchblade he used to kill Jason. Katie covers his wounds with excrement to make sure his death is slow and painful. In addition, she leaves him tied to the wall so that his wounds become infected. The second to suffer Katie's wrath is Nikolaj, who is drugged during a night at the club. Nikolaj notices Katie but can't believe his eyes and decides to follow her until he gets to the bathroom. After vomiting, he falls to his knees and receives a blow to the face. Katie teases him with his own phrases and starts choking him in the toilet full of excrement. Later, Katie returned to check on Georgie. His wounds were starting to fester very quickly. Despite screaming for help, no one could hear him. Valko also suffers the same fate as his two sons. In society, he was a religious person, but deep down, he was a psychopathic maniac. In the church, Valko noticed Katie. Being scared, he wanted to escape from there as soon as possible. Katie surprised him by hitting him on the head and after that, tied him up. Valko was tortured with the cattle prod he used to torture Katie and eventually was electrocuted to death. Later, Katie checked on Georgie one more time. This time, his wounds were badly infected. After taking some pictures, Katie wants to kidnap Anna and Ivan. Anna arrives home from work and finds chaos in her room. She goes down to the basement and notices the hole in the floor and realizes that Katie had escaped again. Now it was too late though, because Katie was behind her, poking her in the hole. She took her to the place where Georgie was, knowing that there was nothing more painful for Anna than to see her favorite son suffering. In the meantime, Ivan had arrived home because he had to talk to Anna. Ivan also noticed the hole in the cellar and came down with a gun to look for Anna. Ivan finally found Georgie tied to the wall. From behind came Katie, who hit Ivan on the head. After that, she tied him up to torture him sexually. In the meantime, Kirill, after talking with his father Dimov, understands what is happening and intends to stop the girl. Ivan reveals that Anna is not his mother, but was only raped by his father until Nikolaj was born. Knowing this, the girl attacks the woman in an even more violent way, having become aware of the fact that she is really the director of a center for battered women, and that by virtue of this, she gives her patients to Valko. Georgie, still barely alive, has a final bout of vomiting and dies, still tied to the wall. Kirill manages to intervene, asking Katie to stop. But before the girl has a chance to give an answer, she is attacked by Ivan. Kirill, then, having no choice, kills the attacker, saving Katie. The policeman understands that he did not understand the situation in which Katie was in, and because of that, everything ended up in a bloodbath. Kirill apologized for Katie for not helping her. Finally, Kirill opened the crate where Anna had been locked up and looked at the woman's terrified face. Katie, meanwhile, heads to the American embassy where she is finally free to return to New York. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then find out why an alien wanted to steal an autistic boy from Earth.